Things humans were never meant to see.
Baby, we built this house on memories. Take my picture now, shake it till you see it. And when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place.
These are videos humans were never meant to see, part 1. The video that I'm about to show you shows what happens to being exposed to radiation for too long, which would then leave behind your shadow. But that's not the scary part about the video. The man who was doing the experiment in this video died 3 days after, but the scientist said it had nothing to do with the experiment, but it actually did, and he got radiation poisoning.
Full spoilers, here we go. The movie starts off with a young girl named Adelaide watching a Hands Across America commercial. She then goes on vacation with her parents to the Santa Cruz Beach boardwalk and wanders away. She goes into a house of mirrors and finds a doppelganger of herself. The scene gets cut off right when the doppelganger turns around, so we don't know what happened yet. Following the encounter, Adelaide stops speaking and withdraws from her family. Then it fast forwards years later to an adult Adelaide on vacation with her family. She has a husband named Gabe, a daughter named Zora, and a son named Jason. On the family's way to the boardwalk, they find a bloody body of an old man being taken away by the paramedics. At the beach, they meet up with the Tyler family, which consists of a wife, husband, and their 2 kids. When Jason runs off to use the bathroom, he sees a man that looks identical to the one they saw earlier being taken away by the paramedics. Later that night, Adelaide opens up to her husband about her experience as a child when she saw her doppelganger. She says she's afraid that her doppelganger is gonna come for her soon, but Gabe doesn't really believe her. Then the lights go out and they see a family of 4 standing in front of their driveway. The family breaks in and corners Adelaide's family into the living room. The intruders end up being doppelgangers of Adelaide's family, and they're all wearing red and they don't speak and they're really creepy. Except Adelaide's double. Her name is Red, and she can actually speak with a very raspy voice. Red explains to Adelaide's family that they are what are called the tethered, who share a soul with their look-alike counterparts, and they're here to untether themselves. Adelaide's son, Jason, also notices that his look-alike mirrors his actions. The family becomes separated as they are terrorized by their doppelgangers, and then Gabe actually manages to unalive his. Adelaide's family escapes, but meanwhile, the Tyler family, who are the people they hung out at the boardwalk with, are getting terrorized by their doppelgangers. The entire Tyler family gets unalived by their doppelgangers. You can see the 2 daughters right there, who are the doppelgangers of the actual ones. Adelaide's family goes to the Tylers to see if they can find a place to stay, and then they have to fight off the Tylers' doppelgangers. And they win. They turn on the news and see that doppelgangers are unaliving people all over the world, and they're forming a human chain. The family decides to drive away and escape to Mexico. On the way there, Zora's lookalike attacks their car, but Zora brake checks her and she becomes unalived. While driving, they find that a lot of townspeople have already been slaughtered, and then they find Jason's lookalike standing right there in front of a burning vehicle. Jason knows that his lookalike mirrors his actions, so Jason steps back until his lookalike goes into the fire. Then Jason gets snatched away by Red. Adelaide chases Red and Jason into the funhouse where it all began. She finds Red in a classroom, and Red tells her that the tethered are genetic clones that were created by the government to control the original people on the surface. But when the experiment failed, the tethered went crazy underground, having to survive on rabbit meat and forced to mimic the actions of those above them. It was Red's idea for them all to escape the underground and unalive those above them. They get into a fight, and then Adelaide unalives Red and then rescues Jason. Then a flashback reveals what happened to Adelaide as a kid in the House of Mirrors. Her doppelganger strangled her, making her lose her voice, and trapped her underground with the tethered, while the doppelganger went up and took the place of Adelaide. So Red was the original Adelaide. The end.
If you see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
On the nut, it's a man you can slap but can also stroke. Going in the wind as an empty of the
So I've been summoned. If you see a woman doing a traditional Serbian dance at night, you better not make a noise. There's an urban legend in Serbia about the dancing woman. Supposedly, she does a traditional Serbian dance at night, but if she hears you and even the slightest noise, she will chase you forever and ever until you die. And to make matters worse, she carries around a knife. Serbian parents would tell their children about the dancing woman so they don't go out at night. So my friends, it's very wise to stay indoors at night.
This is rare footage of the Earth's most famous sea creature. These well-spoken fishermen have caught the Loch Ness Monster on camera for the first time ever. They have been fishing on this Scotland river for battered cod, but never expected this. The savage monster lurks towards them with the absolute quickness. The lads know they are in savage peril and need to act fast. Everybody knows the Loch Ness Monster has 27 poisonous tentacles. As you can see by the 10,000-pound suits, they are ArtBTech students from Oxford University.
Do you guys know why refrigerators are magnetic? Before the year 1956, refrigerators had latchets that would only open from the outside. And they were sealed with rubber, so they were also soundproof. When kids would play hide and seek, they would end up hiding inside of these refrigerators, and because they only opened from the outside, they would end up suffocating. And no, they cannot yell for their parents because the rubber makes them soundproof. The Refrigerator Safety Act started in 1956 to prevent that from happening, and all refrigerator companies decided to make them magnetic so that they would stay sealed, but they would also open from the inside. There were a couple of old ones still laying around, and the most recent case of this happening was back in 2013, when 2 South African kids were stuck inside of a refrigerator and ended up suffocating to death.
If you ever find yourself in this situation, don't do what she did. In 2006, a group of cave divers decided they wanted to film a documentary in one of the most dangerous caves in the world. But only a few hours into their descent, and a freak storm erupts on land, collapsing the entrance to the cave. In order to avoid the huge falling rocks that were coming off the ceiling, they were forced to swim through one of the uncharted sections of the cave. After they've been diving for over an hour, they luckily come across this island in the middle of a tunnel, where they set up camp and wait to be rescued. After 48 hours and no sign of a rescue, the cameraman actually starts filming in case they don't make it out of there. At the same time, one of their crew members does something very stupid.
Run. And if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, don't stop. It's only been an hour since everyone on Earth, as far as I could tell, heard those same words. I was already walking through the park when I heard them, and after seeing what happens, I won't be stopping anytime soon. It's been 2 hours now, I've kept walking, I'm tired, but stopping is not an option. Some people tried driving, but the act of getting in a car requires stopping, even for the briefest moment. And as those already driving when they heard the rules soon found out, it's impossible to move indefinitely in a vehicle, especially in a crowded city. Their screams kept me moving. It's been 4 hours now, and I'm exhausted, with the only thing pushing me forward being the fear of what awaits when I stop. And yes, I mean when, proven by plenty of those around me, eventually I'll have to stop. Some have just given up, accepting their fate only to immediately regret the decision. Some just couldn't take the screams anymore, and most simply don't see the point of continuing. And with every step I'm starting to become more like the latter. It's been about 6 hours, and for the first time I saw what happens up close. I was walking aimlessly down an alley, trying to get away from the madness, when I saw a young man no more than 16 crying. It didn't even register at first to me until he made eye contact with me. He had stopped moving. His eyes were bloodshot, and not just whites around his pupils, I mean the entirety of his eyes were crimson red. Black tears streamed down his expressionless face, and then he smiled. A wide toothy smile that would have screamed of joy if it wasn't followed by animalistic screams that would give the biggest horror fanatic nightmares. I wish I could say witnessing his dying moments was the most horrific thing to happen to me today, but then it hit me, the realization that I had stopped moving.
Serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home. This is where he killed his first victim. I'm still creeped out. I live 15 minutes from his house. Cops ended up coming.
Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Daddy, 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 hurry! I saw something scurry!
Son, what's all this screaming for? You're gonna wake the neighbors next door.
Daddy, I think there's a spider.
What I'm about to show you is the photo Katrina Whalen captured on her Ring camera the other night. So Katrina lives alone down a long country road in West Texas. And 3 nights ago, she invited a friend over for dinner at 7 p.m. But 7 rolls around and her friend's not there. And then 8 rolls around and her friend is still not there. And that's when Katrina starts to hear footsteps outside. Slow at first, but then it starts to sound like someone is running full speed at her house. Thinking it's her friend, she goes to open the door, but no one is there. So Katrina calls her friend, but then when the other line picks up, it's just heavy breathing. And then laughing. She's really freaked out now, so she runs upstairs, but that's when she gets the notification that someone is at her front door. And this was that someone. Katrina is still alive to tell the tale, but there's been an uptick in Reddit users complaining in West Texas of hearing someone outside and then answering the door to see no one is there.
This is why you should take lockdown drills seriously. In 2015, a class of high school students was having a normal day when all of a sudden the intercom came on. The principal began to speak, and in a frantic voice he said, "We are going into lockdown. This is not a drill." The teacher ran to the door and slammed it shut. He then ordered everyone to get in the corner of the room and to remain silent. But that silence would soon be broken because a man began to yell in the hallway. He was yelling things like, "I will end all of you." He then began to bang on the lockers. The man then started banging on the classroom door. That's when a girl started crying out loud. The man heard the crying, then started saying, "Get out now." What happens next is shocking.
Daddy, 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 hurry, I saw something scurry.
Son, what's all this screaming for? You're gonna wake the neighbors next door.
Daddy, I think there's a spider on my floor. Is it? And will you squish it?
You call me in here in the middle of the night to come into your room and destroy life. Isn't that what they teach you in Sunday school?
But Daddy, it's gross, it's got a...
Abandoned house with everything left behind.
Son, what's all this screaming for? You're gonna wake the neighbors next door.
Even found old medicine bottles.
Daddy, I think there's a spider on my floor. Is it? And will you squish it?
You call me in here in the middle of the night to come into your room and destroy life. Isn't that what they teach you in Sunday school?
But Daddy, it's gross. It's got a million legs, a billion eyes, a trillion eggs.
Son, it's not disgusting, it's just reality. Take a deep breath and
Hill
appreciate
Farm.
life. Look how delicate his legs are, crawling across your bedroom floor. Do you know the proper name?
Arachnid!
This was one of my favorite explores. So many vintage cassettes.
Daddy, 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 hurry, I saw something scurry.
Son, what's all this screaming for? You're gonna wake the neighbors next door.
Daddy, I think there's a spider on my floor.
If you see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
Arizona's scary urban legends that you didn't know about. In the 1800s, a poor family lived in the canyon. Their father went to go get food but never returned. The family starved and descended into madness. One day, the mother couldn't take hearing her children's cries anymore. She put on her wedding dress, murdered her children, threw them into the river, and then she died from starvation a day later. The legend states that if you go down to Slaughterhouse Canyon at night, even now you will hear loud anguished cries of the mother who lost her mind.
Searching with me, he's filling in for Chris. Chris hurt his leg. We are constricting the zone to just the hospital. I'll give you guys like 5 minutes to come inside. Ready or not, here we come. Carl, we haven't worked together much. Yes. You can put that down. We're gonna find somebody right now. You know why?
To
Can I show you a scary video? Make sure you pay very close attention to this one because you might miss it.
パンツ見えるわ、やだった。やめてよ。パンツ見えるから。何これ、橋？これ何これ？橋、こういうのさ。揺れるよ。揺れる。めっちゃ飛ぶ。いけんじゃない？いける？いけんじゃない？天才だからこれ。なんでそっち行くの？これ？こっちでしょ。落ちるから。無理だ。大きかったね。はい。
If you see black-eyed children, don't let them in. According to legend, black-eyed children are believed to come to your house, to your vehicle window if you're alone at the parking lot, and to places where there aren't many people. When they appear, they often say that they need help with something and that you must let them in. They must enter, whether it is in your car or at your house. Anyone who encountered them has almost immediately felt an overwhelming sense of dread. If you don't let them in, they become increasingly insistent that they need to be allowed in. The kids have pale skin and black eyes. Apart from their blacked out eyes, these children seem normal. Nobody knows why or how these kids appear. Some suggest that these children have existed since the 1980s, although most sources state that the legend originated around 1996. But remember,
you're alone. It's the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel. Then this happens. So what's your next move?
Number 27, Monster Mom. Is this mother actually a monster? TikToker Nina Inton shared this truly terrifying video captured on a security camera. After the child's mom disappears from view, the child starts to panic. He's looking for his mom, and then he finds her.
Where's Mama? Ask Mama. Oh, sorry.
Did you see that creepy face?
Oh, Zoe. Where's Mama? Ask Mama.
Although there are various theories, most everyone can agree that the image is beyond creepy. I personally think something paranormal is going on here, but then again, an image on a shirt is more likely. Still, what a terrifying image to have printed on a shirt. Number 26.